There's two types of fat. There's subcutaneous fat, which you can pinch outside the abdominal wall, and there's visceral fat that's inside around your organs, around your heart, around your liver, around your kidney, around your blood vessels. And you actually have fat on the interior lining of the blood vessels called atherosclerotic plaque, but you have fat on the outside of the blood vessel as well that prevents the blood vessel from being elastic and moving in both directions, in and out, as your heart pumps. That loss of elasticity and the visceral fat is particularly damaging to your heart, but it also is more saturated than subcutaneous fat. And it also generates cholesterol more than saturated fat. Then it's more full of saturated fat. It generates cholesterol more, and it generates more inflammatory compounds that are more cancer-promoting fat, is the visceral fat that's inside your body. That's the most dangerous fat. Sure that the subcutaneous fat's dangerous too, but the visceral fat's a little more dangerous. So here's what I'm saying. I'm saying as you diet and lose weight, what goes off you easier? Which do you lose more? The subcutaneous or the visceral? Subcutaneous is the fat you can pinch. It starts to go off you. The visceral fat stays there. It's harder to get rid of. And then when you want to go on that crazy diet, you drop 10 or 20 pounds and you go off and you gain back weight again, then what comes back easier on you fast when you gain weight back again quickly? What comes back? The visceral fat or the subcutaneous fat? The visceral fat comes back easiest because the subcutaneous fat can only be built up at a certain rate. And then you're putting back more rapid weight on your body can't put the subcutaneous fat on so quickly, so it puts it on more viscerally. What you've done by dieting, what you've done by losing weight and gaining it again and losing weight and gaining it back again, is you've shifted body weight from subcutaneous stores more viscerally, and you've increased your risk of cancer and heart disease by going on these crazy diets. Diets don't work because anything you do to lose weight is not going to be of any benefit unless you maintain that weight loss for the rest of your life. We want to achieve an ideal weight, and I'm looking around the room at all these overweight people, and I'm thinking to myself, they've got to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of their life. So to be a Nutritarian, to make this clear, if you're really a Nutritarian and you're eating a healthy diet, then you are losing weight towards your ideal, you're losing weight gradually to get to your ideal weight. Either you're at your ideal weight, you're a Nutritarian, or you're a Nutritarian who was overweight and now is moving towards your ideal weight on the way there. Did you follow that? If you're not losing weight and you're overweight, you're not a Nutritarian. The word Nutritarian suggests a gold standard, an ideal way to eat that maximally extends human lifespan and maximally protects against disease, and also a Nutritarian diet that's designed to be maximally lifespan promoting, so we can live to be 100 years old in great health. It also is therapeutically most effective at reversing disease like diabetes and autoimmune conditions and migraines and fibromyalgia and ulcerative colitis and psoriasis. It's maximally effective therapeutically at reversing disease. And if you're a Nutritarian, you would be losing weight at least 1 pound every 3 days. And if you're not losing 1 pound every 3 days and you're significantly overweight, then you're not on a Nutritarian diet and you're not following a Nutritarian program. Because remember a few minutes ago, I was telling you that fat cells are dangerous? And fat cells secrete angiogenesis promoters and fat cells secrete estrogen? And fat cells make you insulin resistant? There's nobody's fat cells that are safe. They're all dangerous fat cells. You can't be overweight and have normal body and have a normal lifespan. However, as you're losing weight at about 2 pounds a week, you become less insulin resistant even while you're overweight. The insulin resistance starts to go away and the diabetes starts to go away as you're losing 2 pounds a week or more. The estrogen production from the fat cells start to go down and start to move towards normal even before you reach your ideal weight, as long as you continue losing at that 2 pounds a week. You follow what I'm saying right now? The caves in the wall of the cells where that holds the insulin receptors that get blocked by saturated fat. Those saturated fats start to come out, they're called cavelins and cavins and cavalae, which are these little caves in the side of the blood vessels where the insulin comes through. And they start to clean themselves out as your weight is being lost from the body. The body is starting to repair. You know, a person that undergoes gastric bypass or Or black bands sometimes can lose a lot of weight and they can still be overweight and they become non-diabetic even the first 6 weeks while they're still overweight just because they're losing weight and eating less calories. But on a nutritarian diet, it's much more than just eating less calories. Certainly you're eating less calories, but your body at the same time is being flooded with powerful antioxidant nutrients and phytochemicals that allow the cells that were hibernating and not functioning well to regenerate themselves. You're activating your stem cells, you're activating your immune system, you're activating your anti-inflammatory mechanisms in the cell structure itself to remove toxins. You start to get, your body starts to rejuvenate and regenerate and self-heal and self-cleanse itself from the flood of nutrients going into the bloodstream. It's the combination of of course, the excess weight coming off, but all those rich nutrients coming in. Plus the fact that when you're overweight, you don't have a high nutrient density in your tissues. Let me explain this for a minute. You can look at my hand with that slight orange tinge. I can put my hand into a phytobiophotonic scanner that's going to register my color through laser beams and tell me how much carotenoids are in my skin. It's going to be a very high number from all the nutrients and all the vegetables I eat. What I'm saying is that when you're overweight, you don't have that high concentration of nutrients per a certain density, per square centimeter, because now your nutrients are diluted in a bigger vat. In other words, if I take a cup of carrot juice and I pour it into a quart of water and shake it up, a certain concentration of 1 cup of juice per 1 quart. But if I pour it into 10 gallons, the 1 cup of carrot juice into 10 gallons of water, the carrot juice is thinned out and not going to be as concentrated. As you put weight on your body, you're thinning out your nutritional density of your tissues. And as you lose weight, at the same time as the weight is coming off your body, you're enhancing the micronutrient density of your tissue in your body, and you're eating a higher nutrient density diet at the same time, and you're transforming biologically who you are as a person. Because you're just a bag of chemicals. And your brain is just a fishbowl full of fat. That's all it is, a big bowl full of fat. And that fat becomes rancid, and it gets rotten, and your behavior, and your thinking process, and your creativity, and your happiness, and your decision-making is based on whether that fat is rancid or fresh. And the brain has a continual need for antioxidants. So when you're losing weight, are you flooding the body with with high antioxidants and micronutrients that are going to fuel the brain's ability to repair itself? Are you flooding the body with these nutrients, enable your brain? Because your brain is the ultimate driver of how much you eat. Because what you eat is controlled mostly by the brain. And if you're going to normalize your brain, you could eventually normalize your appetite, and your appetite. So subcutaneous fat and visceral fat, the point of this is you have to stop the dieting mentality and you have to start eating an anti-cancer, longevity-promoting diet style, and you have to be committed to eating that way for the rest of your life. You know The Biggest Loser, right? They go on these crazy, exercise programs, they exercise 5 hours a day, whatever they do. Are they going to maintain that level for the rest of their life? What good is doing something temporarily? It's not going to work. And then you read in the newspaper, people just don't even understand. Oh, at least people they lost their weight and they gained it back again, they slowed their metabolic rate down, right? It's nothing to do with it. You can't slow your metabolic rate down so much that eating less calories makes you gain weight. That's ridiculous. If that was the case, anorexic would be obese. The less you eat, the fatter you get. As you lose weight and get closer to your ideal weight, your metabolic rate slows down, but it can never slow down more than the reduction in calories. It can never slow down so much that it could stop you losing weight from reducing your calories. The amount of weight you lose for every calories you cut back may be reduced, but you're still losing You're still losing weight from caloric reduction. And you're still gaining weight from caloric increases. Did you follow that? You may speed up your metabolic rate with more calories, so you make the increased caloric that you're taking in not lead to the same amount of weight gain as you would have taken in with this, when your metabolic rate was slower. You may eat more to speed up your metabolic rate, but keep in mind the rate at which you age is your metabolic rate. Let me say that one more time. Make this 100% clear. That the secret to living long, which I told you yesterday for those of you who are here, and most of you should have this memorized, the only thing proven in the history of science to slow aging and radically expand lifespan of every species of animals, including primates and humans, is what? No, not slowing your metabolism. Right, that's right, moderate caloric reduction. Moderate, not excessive caloric reduction, because that could become anorexia and cause too much weight loss. And that's not good for longevity either. It's moderate caloric reduction. Moderately eating below your basal metabolic rate. Moderate caloric reduction in an environment of micronutrient excellence. The only way to radically extend human lifespan, or any kind of lifespan of any animal. And when you moderately caloric restrict, you achieve an ideal weight, and then your metabolism slows down. In other words, if I eat under my metabolic rate, I'm not going to keep losing weight. I'm going to stop losing right here, because I've already got my body fat very low. I stop losing weight, and if I eat less, I'm not going to keep losing, because my body is going to cut back its body temperature to save calories. It'll lower its body temperature. It'll lower its respiratory quotient, the amount of calories lost through respiration. It'll ratchet down the thyroid a little bit to save calories. It'll set into motion biological events that will stop me from losing weight because I'm exercising and I'm active and I have a certain amount of demand for size of muscle tissue that my body wants to have based on the activity I do. And my body wants to maintain that muscle and skeletal mass, and it'll do so. It'll adjust its metabolism to maintain that size if my body fat's low enough. And those biological changes that the body does to maintain its weight from getting too thin are the major factors that maximize human lifespan and enable people to live to be 100 years old. If you want to live longer, you have to eat less so you can slow your metabolic rate, so you can age slower, right? I'm 106 years old right now. This idea that you're trying to speed up your metabolic rate so you can lose more weight, right? Isn't that what people are thinking? Read these books. Go to a bookstore and get a bunch of diet books. Every diet book, how to rev up, how to increase your metabolic rate, a metabolic diet, the metabolic this, the metabolic... It's all about increasing your metabolism so you can lose more weight. That's like making a pact with the devil. You want to age faster so you can lose weight? Almost every diet is like that, right? Ketogenic, paleo, it's all about trying to shorten your life, to lose some weight, but live 10 years shorter. Who wants to do that? Or 20 years shorter? I said, in an environment of micronutrient excellence. And I'm also saying that micronutrient excellence naturally suppresses the apostat and makes you want to eat less calories. This works together. Even though I said that moderate caloric restriction in an environment of nutritional excellence slows aging, I'm also saying something about the opposite to that. That means as you strive for micronutrient excellence by eating more foods with high levels of nutrients and fiber, they naturally make you want to eat less food. And this all works together because you're eating the amount of food you want to eat, but you don't want to overeat anymore. If you're overweight, like most of you are, then you're eating the wrong food, because you're not getting enough micronutrients. And because you're not getting enough micronutrients, you're developing an unrelenting and uncontrollable desire to eat excess calories that can't be stopped. When your diet isn't healthy enough, you can't stop being an over-calorie consuming monster. Can't control your behavior when you're micronutrient deficient. You have to put the fat in the wrong places. And the secret formula for obesity, if you want to get fat, is 2S plus O, and that means salt, sugar, and oil. You salt your food, you eat more calories. You put oil on your food, you eat more calories, and you sweeten it even with artificial no-calorie sweeteners, and you're going to want to eat more calories. It's going to rev up your desire to want to overeat food. Doesn't matter if the sweetener has no calories or not, it's just going to make you want to eat more, and it's going to drive your addiction to want to continue to eat sweets. I mentioned yesterday that the biggest scam ever perpetrated on the world's population was convincing people that oil is healthy for them. In other words, we have a growing explosion of obesity and chronic illness, and we're telling people that the most concentrated calorie you can possibly eat with no nutrients and no fiber, and don't forget, nutrients and fiber suppress the appestat, and oil turns up the appestat. So pour those calories from your lips to your hips in 5 minutes flat. Pour those calories on your waist, and that's supposed to be healthy for you. Take in that coconut oil, that flax oil, that olive oil, these so-called healthy oils. There's no such thing as healthy oils. All oils are unhealthy because they're fattening. Because what controls your appestat is fiber and nutrients. And because the oils are processed to remove the fiber and nutrients, you're just taking the fat portion, the calorie portion, without the fiber and nutrients. Because of that, the calories flood into the bloodstream like an explosion of calories into the bloodstream in a minute. And when calories flood the bloodstream so rapidly, it's like taking a syringe and injecting yourself with heroin. Because when they flood into the bloodstream, they go right to the brain and they signal up dopamine receptors and make you into an addict. The high caloric entry into the bloodstream have addictive properties in the brain and make you want to consume more food. And over time, it makes you dopamine insensitive too, because even though it's signaling dopamine in the brain, all the extra stimulation of dopamine from all the high rush of calories into the bloodstream makes you want more and more calories, more and more stimulation.